Welcome back, everyone, to Shifted Reality, Season 1, Episode 11. Now, I said before, next level down, I was going to add a balcony, and here it is. It's just a little external attachment to the tower to kind of break up the overall design and try and keep it from looking so monotone straight up and give it a little bit more life. And I kind of like having some potted plants on the balcony as well, little azalea bushes, and some decorated pots that we picked up from the trial chambers. Overall, I'm thinking this is looking pretty good. And of course, now that we are on 1.21, we can now put items inside pots. And of course, naturally, if you know what needs to go inside pots, it should definitely be all of your emeralds. This is the best place to store emeralds. I mean, it's not like any little kids in green hats will come along and start smashing pots for the fun of it to steal your emeralds, right? But now that we are here, last episode we completed the alchemy sections, and while there is some thoughts in my head about doing a fourth one, I'm thinking I think the alchemy lab has played itself out, and we now need to change gears and have a new plan as we continue down in the next 4 levels of decorating this tower, which is what we will get done today. And of course, I'll be bringing in villagers to occupy it and live their best villager life. Now, as I started to think about how I want to decorate the next levels below the alchemist section of the tower, I started thinking, what if they have a bunch of failed experiments up here? What if they're bouncing around with their attempts at golems and making explosions with their splash potions? What if they decide they need to start shoring up the tower? And that is the theme that we started doing here. See, all of our levels had these stone archways for support, but now we're starting to add in some additional logs between the stone archway and the floor in order to provide that additional structural support. And then to kind of interconnect them, I started off with the tough brick, and I'll admit, mostly I just wanted to see how the tough brick walls, the chiseled tough brick, the chiseled tuft, how this all just kind of ties together and looks together. And it does give a very much of a temple jungle vibe, and we will definitely be rethinking that approach at a later date. But then I just started giving a little additional decoration, and so far my ideas were a little bit basic. So I had the Trial Explorer map right here that I used to go for my first trial chamber, and a couple treasure maps I had left over. And you notice I didn't actually fully explore out these maps, and it kind of gives this nice little image of them being partially painted. And like our cartographer here, who is currently sleeping, is currently working on these maps, and he's not quite done with them, or at least that's the lore I was going with. And I put on a couple of the sea pickles because I thought they looked a little bit like pen or quill holders, barring having anything like an actual inkwell or something like that. And I thought, this is giving a good vibe for it. And originally I was using spruce here, but then I considered the darkness of the spruce logs when they are unstripped, and the darkness of the cartography table, and dark oak is what really ties these together and makes it feel cohesive. I even used some dark oak trapdoors to make it look like this stone wall structure has a little bit of additional wood support under there. I think that looks quite nice. Again, playing around, learning the new wall textures. This is going to be a little bit of a theme. But what I did was, when I first got this guy in here, I traded with him until I got his Woodland Explorer, Ocean Explorer, and Trial Explorer maps. And then I went through the Nether to just carve a 1x2 tunnel, 2 tall, 1 wide, at Y level 12 until I reached the destinations on the maps. And then I just created a portal and came out. And I was trying to get that same partially constructed, partially finished look. And, well, I probably won't go back out for the Woodland Mansion just because that's so far out. The Ocean Explorer and the Trial Explorer maps actually give locations that are right on top of each other. So my thought on these ones is maybe I'll make one a little bit bigger than the other, use the cartography table. I think you can expand these to make them wider maps. And then go back out to that area and cover just a little bit more of the random terrain just to give it a bit more of an incomplete map look, kind of like what we had upstairs. And in addition to that, I had a little bit more of an inspiration as to how to decorate this next level. Because up here, while I was mostly just kind of playing around with the new blocks and such, I got the inspiration with the partially completed maps to treat this level more like an art studio. And overall, I have to say, I really wish that Bedrock had the ability to do the invisible item frames like Java Edition does. And I think that's actually a mod, but you know, Bedrock is a little bit more tricky with mods than Java. Mainly because I wish I could just put little splotches of the dyes around here to make it look like spilt paint, but that's wishing for something I don't have, and I will just work with it and do the best vanilla art studio I can. Now you may recall I said I tunneled to the location of the Ocean Explorer and the Woodland Mansion through the Nether. And what I did is I go down to Y level 12, and the reason I go that low is it is the safest location to travel through the Nether. You avoid lava lakes, death falls, you name it, and a narrow tunnel like a 2 high, 1 wide is not big enough to allow mobs to spawn. It is a nice, safe, easy way to travel long distance when you have a map to guide you. So when I'm looking at this Trial Explorer map, I was able to just simply follow my marker until it said I was in approximately the area, and then build another portal to go return to the overworld, pretty much right on top of the trial chamber. And in the time it took me to go and tunnel to the trial chamber and tunnel to the Woodland Mansion, which didn't really take me that long, I managed to come out of it with 65 ancient debris. And this is something I should point out. This is all the ancient debris I've collected at all this season so far. And I just did it by tunneling a 1x2 tunnel in a straight line until I reached a destination that was pre-laid out for me in the Woodland Mansion. Granted, most of this was from the Woodland Mansion, which is the farthest away. But it just goes to show you, you go down to the Y level 12, ancient debris by itself is no more rare than diamonds in functionality. The only downside is you need 4 ancient debris for 1 netherite ingot, which makes it feel a little bit more rare because you need 4 times as much. But if you're going through and you're like strip mining or blasting out multiple things with all your dynamite, all your beds, doing that whole thing, why are you doing that if all you need is just a few to satisfy your tools and your armor? One more afternoon of me doing this, I'll have more ancient debris than what I need to do full netherite armor, full netherite gear, and then have some for spares for anything that I would lose, given the case of anything that would break. I guess what I'm trying to get at is it's one of those things I kind of wonder. Some people have a different playstyles, and every playstyle is valid. Don't make me think that I'm trying to indicate your playstyle is not. If you're the kind of person that needs to gather resources beyond what you actually need, yeah, go ahead and, nuke the nether until you collect all of the ancient netherite. But if all you need is just what you need for your own tools, don't overthink it. Just go down and start digging the same way you would dig for diamonds, and you will very quickly find all the netherite that you need. So on the idea of making a vanilla artist studio, I had to ask myself, what villager works best for an art studio? And the conclusion I came to was none other than the swamp villager. Now, of course, there are no such thing as swamp villages, so I had to build this little breeding hut in a swamp biome. And sure enough, before long, my two farmers gave me a little swamp guy. And why are swamps? Look at how erratic they are, with leaves on the head and kind of that swampy, messy coat that they wear. I mean, this guy looks like an artist. Now I just gotta wait for that little guy to grow up and transport him back to our base to live in the art studio. Unfortunately, I forgot that when villagers take on the cartographer job, they lose their hair or head covering. So our little swamp villager no longer actually has the leaf on its head, which is admittedly a little disappointing, but I still think he looks like an artist, and this is my artist studio. We have a blank canvas with his brush, some green dye or paint for where he's painting in this woodland map, and some blue paint for the ocean monument and trial chambers that he is currently working on. And of course I added in some splotches of redstone on the ground just to try and give the look of like spilt paint over the years. And the villager has a little bedroom back here. I also went ahead and got the next level. This one I want to do more studious, more like a studio or a study. And so we copied Bias's Icewing's map of the portion that has our base on it. And here's our villager that is working and existing in this spot. Again, he has his works in progress that he also is working on. Yeah, and this is temporary. I need to go get a cherry blossom leaves. I just don't have it at the moment. And I picked up some candles from a trial chamber and used those to help decorate the shelves in here. And speaking of trial chambers, I did discover a way you can get some of the new armor trims without needing to spend the diamonds for the copying the templates or waiting for the ominous keys that will sometimes give you the smithing templates from the ominous vaults. I found a 1.21 bedrock glitch that potentially allows you to farm trimmed armor from trial chambers. When you drink the bad omen potions that are now in 1.21, the spawners in the trial chambers start releasing mobs that are equipped with diamond armor, all with the flow trims and such of the trial chamber, which you may or may not get using the ominous key. But these ones that spawn the zombies dunked them in and did confirm that the zombies will still convert to drowned. Now in Bedrock Edition, I don't know if this is true for Java, when a zombie converts to a drowned, it will drop all of its equipment 100% repaired. So while normally the enhanced mobs with the armor don't drop the armor when you kill them, but if you convert the zombies into drowned, they will drop the armor and you can pick up the trim without needing to get the smithing template from an ominous vault. Do what you will with that. It's probably going to get patched at some point. But for now, that is how you can farm the new armor trims out of trial chambers. Yeah, that still doesn't blend as well as I was hoping it would, but I think we can leave that be for now. And a funny story happened as I was collecting the last villager for this tower. On my way to go get this guy, and as you can see, he's from the ice biomes. As I went to get this guy, I came across 3 different sunken ships. And in those shipwrecks, each had a treasure map, of course. But you notice all 3 of them were the same treasure map. And I didn't even bother coming up and collecting it. I just mapped out the whole area because it kind of created a story for me where this guy, maybe he's not quite as talented as the cartographers above us. Maybe that's why he's on the lowest tier. And his job isn't so much to be making new maps, but to be copying the maps that they create up above so that they can distribute and sell them. That's the story I'm going with this guy. And that's why I went ahead and used the 3 maps to decorate. Just kind of, just showing off his work for how he will copy the maps and rather than making new ones. And for decoration, we just gave him a simple table in the middle of the room, a couple chairs, and some pots that we took out of a trial chamber, just to give it a little pizzazz. And, the azalea bushes match up so much better with the leaves on top than the saplings. I don't know. I might have to go back up and change that, I think, but we'll see. But otherwise, we copied along the same pattern that we did for the last 4 levels. These are all shored up. The tough bricks to divide out the walls, you give them their workspace, and you just kind of go around it as you continue to go up the tower. And you can see the previous guy that we had. Now that we have the interior of our tower all finished, and we are ready to move on to additional projects, maybe the next expansion, or you may have noticed a little outcropping over there that's also part of a future plan. Otherwise, the tower being completed is the wrap-up of this episode, although there is one more project I would like to complete. And I apologize if my recordings and episodes have been delayed a little bit lately. With it being summer, we've just been spending a lot more time outside, away from our digital shifted reality worlds. But don't worry, additional episodes are coming. But my kids did want me to come by to help them build a bridge to make traveling and navigating the Minecraft world a little bit easier. And that's going to be our final project to wrap up this episode. everyone for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Shifted Reality. And thank you to my family for their collaboration on this infrastructure project of building a bridge, making it easier to navigate this digital world. If you enjoyed having us work on an infrastructure project as a group, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for joining this Shifted Reality.